What's going on, people? It's your boy calwu, and welcome to another episode of planetwu. Thanks again for coming and rocking with me. I have another early review for you. The three animes that I will be reviewing today is Shadow's House, Bishounen Tanteidan, and Tokyo Revengers. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to the video. That is the best way you can help us support my channel. Like I said, I'm constantly bringing content every week, 3 to 5 episodes. Trying to keep y'all abreast of everything. I got a new segment coming, planetwu University. Just getting things together for that, so be on the lookout for that. It should be coming within the next week or two. And yeah, without further ado, Shadow's House. Shadow's House is an anime about faceless shadow nobles living in a vast mansion that are attended by living dolls who spend much of their time cleaning the soot endlessly emitted by the mysterious masters. And this anime follows a Miliko. So what we see in the anime is the shadow people don't have any face. They don't have any distinct facial features. So just imagine a Vanta black figure with Victorian clothing on. So what distinguishes them is their clothing and like the style of their hair. Like you can still see their hair styled. They don't have no facial features. And these shadow people constantly, whether they're asleep, whether they're awake, they constantly emit and give off soot and ash. And then when they're angry, they give off even more soot and ash. At that point, it starts to resonate off of them as a force. So the main character, Amiliko, is the attendant or a living doll for the shadow Kate. Now, what makes these living dolls important is the living dolls are fashioned in the way of what the shadows would look like if they were people. And they mimic their hairstyles. And the purpose of these living dolls is to be the face for the shadow. So they pretty much are supposed to, their duties on top of cleaning is literally to mimic the shadow. So instead of our shadow mimicking us, we are mimicking our shadows. Like imagine a world like that. Like we walk around, the sun is shining, our shadows do what we do. But in this world, you do what the shadow does. It's so crazy and it's bizarre. The anime is so it's dope. It's extremely dope. Because like one of the things that we learn is shadows aren't allowed out of their rooms until them and their shadows have completed their training and have gone through the rites successfully. And going through the rites successfully because they haven't shown one yet, but based on what they're saying in the story, it's when a person goes to where they take the shot, not the person, but they take the shadow and the living doll amongst the court, and the shadow or the living doll has to mimic the shadow's facial expressions and their body mannerisms properly in sync with the shadow. And if they cannot, that drops the importance or the standing of that shadow, and they most likely going to get kicked out of the mansion. And the living doll that's attached to him is disposed of. In what way? We don't know. It'll probably be as big as death. I don't know. They haven't stated yet, but they get disposed of. Now, Amiliko is a very bubbly, happy-go-lucky kind of girl. She's very clumsy. We see throughout the 3 episodes that's out, she knocks over water, she breaks vases, she breaks stuff all the time. She's just clumsy, doesn't pay attention, and she's a very apologetic. You would say she's a people pleaser. Now, Kate, on the other hand, to be a shadow, she seems very understanding, very elegant. Tries to treat Miliko as not necessarily an equal, but not treating her like a second class citizen either. To where she lets Emilico try on her clothes, which is actually against their laws. She actually feeds Emilico regular food, not just her ration of bread that she gets on a daily. And, try and help boost her confidence and let her know, like, listen, you are my face. You're supposed to be me. So there's certain things you got to do in order to, like, fulfill that. And that's great. And Emilico eventually meets Mia, who belongs to another girl. It's a living doll that belongs to another girl that shows her around the house and, teaches her about different cleaning and things of that nature, and introduces her to the rest of the team because they work in cleaning sales. So she meets Rosemary. Rosemary is the oldest of the group, so she's the leader. Rosemary is very sweet. She's very outgoing. She answers every question that you got, but she's also one of those people where it's like, she's like laying the laws down. Like, listen, we're supposed to revere the masters. Listen, certain things we don't say out in public. Listen, don't let the wrong person hear you say this. Keep it to yourself, because it's like you could get in trouble if the wrong people hear certain things. Even dolls, because I'm assuming some of the living dolls are assholes. They all been kind of cool so far, but I'm assuming some of them are complete dicks. The last person in their group is Lou. Lou is very melancholy. She's calm. She does everything by the books, and takes things very literal. And she's definitely the odd one out of the group, but she's a really cool character. Another thing about this anime that kind of surprised me is that it had a shonen element to it, where if the cleaning isn't done properly, the soot can accumulate and gain like an evil intent and become what they call a scorched, which is like a giant creature of soot and dust that they like bring out hammers to fight and all type of stuff to try and get rid of it. But the creature can attach itself to somebody and become like a whole different type of creature. And if that person isn't rescued in time, they could die. But even when they are rescued, they get this illness called soot sickness, where it's in their body, it's in their lungs and things of that nature. And like I said, the anime is just kind of cool, man. The anime is just extremely cool. I can't wait till the next episode. I anticipate every episode every week. This thing is beautifully done, and the concept is great. The next anime is Bishounen Tanteidan, aka Pretty Boy Detective Club. This anime had to grow on me. I wasn't feeling it in the first 2 episodes, but that 3rd episode brought it all together for me and made me appreciate it. So the anime synopsis is: Mayumi Dojima, a second-year student at the exclusive Ubaiwa Academy Middle School, has lost something, a star she glimpsed just once, 10 long years ago. But help is on the way, in the form of the unofficial, secretive, and thoroughly mysterious Pretty Boy Detective Club. The club solves problems within the school for reasons aesthetic rather than financial. Now, the anime starts with Mayumi looking at the stars and kind of gazing and, thinking to herself like, man, I wish I could see that star again. It was so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. And what makes Mayumi so special is the fact that she actually has telescopic eyes. She can see things. She has the greatest eyes in the world, where she can see things. Like, she can pretty much see around a corner. If it's a crack in the door, she can look through the crack in the door and literally identify everything on the other side of that door. Like her vision is A1. But the drawback is she'll probably lose her vision at an early age. And she got these special glasses that kind of help her not strain her eyes as much. And she wants to be an astronaut so she can find this star that she was looking for. And this enters in the character Manabu. Manabu is the leader of the Pretty Boy Detective Club. who brings her in as a client, and everybody agrees to help. The next character is Michiru, and Michiru is a known delinquent. He's the number one delinquent in the school, and he's not only known as a delinquent in the school, but he's also known as somebody you don't want to run into in the streets type of delinquent too, outside of school. The next pretty boy is Hyota, who they call the legs. He's a track team ace, and he got the prettiest legs in school. My man's where if you ever seen Reno 911, he wears Lieutenant Dangle shorts. So if you see that, you know how short his shorts are, and his legs is always exposed because they're beautiful, and he treasured his legs. Sasaku is the chairman of the middle school and a successful businessman and chairman of a business that his family runs. His family also funds the school. We don't know too much about him, except for he probably financially backs everything that this club does. And on top of that, every time we see this guy, he's a painter. So I'm gonna surmise that he loves art. The last member of the team is Nagahiro, who they call the Rainbow Voice, the Master of Speeches, and the Student Body President. This guy, with his voice, can mimic any voice. Once he hears it, he can mimic any voice. This dude is masterful with words, and through those two things is why he's been Student Body President all 3 years he's been in middle school. And this is our team that makes the Pretty Boy Detective Club. The Pretty Boy Detective Club has 4 rules. Be pretty. Be a boy. Be a detective. And last but not least, teamwork, which means be a club. The most literal club you'll find ever on the planet. Like I said, the first 2 episodes didn't catch me. I kind of watched them and was like, I'm gonna keep going just for the early review. But the third episode caught me. It was great. They dealt with like some organization that wanted to capture Mayumi and pretty much offer, because she's seen a satellite being blown up, pretty much being sniped out in space, and she's seen it with her naked eye, and they know about it. So they trying to like, they like, yeah, we got to get rid of her. And seeing these boys deal with that and everybody, going to their own strength, it was pretty dope. I'm enjoying it so far. Like I said, it took to the 3rd episode to enjoy it. If you don't mind watching anime up to the 3rd episode to try and see what it offers, this is definitely the one to do it with. The next anime on the list, and the last on this list, is Tokyo Revengers. Tokyo Revengers is an anime about Takemichi, who's in his 20s. His life is going kind of bad, not the best. And so he's watching TV, and upon watching TV, he ends up seeing that his ex-girlfriend from high school, Hinata, died, and so did her little brother. And they died at a festival when members of the Tokyo Manji gang drove a truck through the festival and pretty much killed both of them. And upon seeing that, somehow he teleports 12 years into the past and ends up figuring out, like, this is my chance to attempt to save her. And the day that he comes back is on a day that him and his friends have their first run-in with the Maji gang. Because he don't remember it, but, they were all supposed to go fight and beat up the first years. And so they asking people like, yeah, where the first year students, where their first years at? And upperclassmen end up catching wind about it and was like, yeah, okay, so y'all the cast is doing this. So yeah, so since y'all look for our underclassmen, we about to beat the hell out of you. So they beat them, turn them into their slaves, to where they got to do what they say, when they say, how they say it. And so after him and his boys get beat up like real bad, he goes and sees Hinata, and then walking home, he sees his boy getting bullied in the park. So he stops the boy from getting bullied at the park, and he ends up finding out that little boy is Hinata's younger brother. So when he finds that out, he's like, yo, I'm a good friend of your sister. I'm from the future. 12 years from today, from this day, in 12 years, your sister is going to get murdered at a festival. Protect her. And then they shook hands and he teleported back to the future. And in doing so, he saved her brother Naoto's life. To the point where he became a cop and he's trying to figure out how he can save his sister because his sister still died. So them two together go back and forth between the past. Them two together, upon shaking hands, is how Takamichi goes back between the past and the present is by shaking Naoto's hand. So pretty much every time he goes back to the past is to change an event that Naoto targets to try and change and make it to where his sister doesn't die. And this anime is really dope. It has that feel of like Erased does. It definitely has that Erased feel. A lot of the characters are really dope. I talked about Takamichi. I talked about Hinata. Talked about Naoto. His friend, like his best friend, Atsushi is like another one of his friends that's a delinquent with him that got beat up. He tries to make sure he's a stand-up guy. He's just as intelligent as Takamichi, the smarter of their group. Another member that you meet in the anime that's key to it is Ken, who's the right-hand man of the Manji gang. And then you meet Manjiro, who is the head guy, the leader of the Manji gang. And he's like, okay, he got to get close to Takamichi got to get close to those two. And try and just stop a series of events from happening so that Hinata will be alive in the future. And like what makes it so dynamic is my man's remember like 12 years ago in this like situation, he dipped out and left. He dropped out of school. He moved to a whole nother city and was like, screw that. I'm not about to get beat up every day no more. I'm not dealing with none of that stuff no more. He didn't tell nobody. He just dipped off. And so now, instead of dipping off, him dipping off is what made these series of events happen. And now he gets a chance to go back to his past and he has to undo it all by not running and actually engaging. And it's just a really dope anime. Like, the junk is cold. Definitely one of my favorites. I love the Erase for the same. Going back to the past and trying to change events thing. And this does it as well. And it's just really dope. I'm enjoying it so far. And that's it for this early review, man. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me here at planetwu. Yeah, like once again, like, share, and subscribe to the video. Tell a friend, tell another friend. You know, and post in the comments below like what type of content you want me to go at. Because like I said, I'm here for y'all. I just want to keep putting this content out. And once again, I appreciate y'all. This is calwu for planetwu signing off. Peace.
I see the nature of the beast, see the hunger. I ain't scared cause my mom ain't raised no feast. In a booth, on the rise, I am Baker with the yeast, dropping more bombs.